Hey guys, so in today's video, yep, you read the title right. We're going to talk about the not so great parts of me. If you've been here before, you know the good parts of me. You know that I'm 51 years old. I'm excited about life. I'm new to making YouTube videos. I love my dogs. I love my grandmother, my family. And I've never been more excited about life and relationships and just being creative and positive with my time. In fact, if you look in my description on my channel, it tells you that I describe that I tried to be a better human being every day, better than I was the day before. And that could not be more true. But before we get into that, I have to show you my sweet shirt that I love to wear on Spirit Days. Cafeteria Crew. I think it's me in a nutshell. It's bright and colorful, cheerful, and I think that's me, but not in today's video. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, so let's get to that part. So, my bad qualities that I've had through the years. Well, let's start with my friendships. One of my closest, dearest friends almost wasn't because of me. And that is the truth. I think it was 2006, 2007. We were stationed up in New York, up by the Canadian border. If you've ever been stationed at Fort Drum, it's close to Watertown. We were just coming out of a long winter with the lake effect snow. And I remember it was a gorgeous day. And when I tell you everybody was outside, I mean everybody was out to enjoy it. And I ran into a neighbor. Now I did not know her. First of all, it's just hard, period, to meet friends in the winter. It's just hard. So I had never met her before, but I had seen them coming and going from like the window of my house. They didn't live directly across the street from me, but it was more like diagonal. And so I happened to be going for a walk, and she was outside. She had her toddler in the stroller. He was so little. He was eating blueberries. I remember that. And anyway, we just started chit-chatting, and I invited her over for a play date because I also had another neighbor on the other side of my house that we all had, children in the same age group. So I thought it'd be fun to get the kids together, have play date, and then have some mama time. And that's what happened. I invited her over. We hung out for a few hours, and it went well. The kids had a good time, and that was that. And I'll never forget, at dinner, my husband was like, well, how did that go? And you guys, I'm so embarrassed to tell you this, but this is the truth. I said, And he says, well, what does that mean? And he said, y'all gonna get together again? And I was like, I don't think so. Mm-mm. And he said, why is that? And I said, well, she's just one of these types. She's just been everywhere, done everything, seen everything. I know it sounds terrible, you guys, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I just will never forget. He was chewing his food, and he took a minute, and then he said, he said, that's too bad. He said, if you're going to be so quick to write people off, you're not going to end up with very many friends. Well, so of course, my feelings were hurt. And then I thought about what he said, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to give her another chance. And you guys, when I tell you, I would have missed out on one of the biggest blessings in my life. I mean, have you guys ever had that friend? That friend that is there for you, like through thick and thin, your greatest moments, your happiest moments, your craziest moments, your darkest hours, times when you literally feel like their back is what you're leaning up against to hold you up, right? I would have missed out on all of that. So that's one thing. I have to stop being so quick to write people off. And she wasn't the only one. I almost completely wrote off my stepdad. uh, so when my mom told me about this guy that she was, talking to and everything, and then when I met him, he did not come packaged the way I guess I thought he should, you know. He was a big guy. He had like 5 hairs on top of his head that he did like this comb over, and he would spray it, and that just drove me crazy. I'm like, why is he spraying 5 hairs on his head? He had all these little things about him, and that's just basically what it boiled down to. That I ended up realizing is that he wasn't packaged the way I needed him to be. But inside that package has been the most amazing man that has done nothing but wonderful, great things for my family. And I could not love him more. He is this big guy with the heart of a teddy bear inside. And I was really wrong about him when I first met him. And he was nothing but the sweetest, kindest person to me. See, these are all things that I struggle with that I've had to work on. Okay, so there's that. Another biggie is the way I view things now. Like, I try to be less me now, especially because years ago, when the kids were small and we were stationed in New York, hubby was deployed to Iraq, and he had been over there. It had been 9 months since we had seen him. He was to be over there for a year, which ended up turning into 15 months. But anyway, it had been 9 months and we hadn't seen him, and he was coming home on his 2 weeks leave. So he flew in to Atlanta, and they were waiting. They were on the last flight of the day. I guess they do that, if I'm not mistaken, they do that so there's no hiccups in case there's hiccups before that. So they get in to Atlanta early in the morning, and he calls, and we're so excited. It's the first start of the day. And we're hoping, he's on standby, and they are all hoping, there's a small group of soldiers, and they're all hoping that they're going to be able to get on that first flight. Well, it's not too long before he calls to let me know, because I have to travel at that point I think it was to Syracuse, which was like an hour and a half from where I was. So he calls to let me know that they did not make it on the first flight, that it was a full flight. So, okay, no biggie. So we wait and we wait and we wait for the second flight rolls around, and I'm just hoping that they're going to get on this flight, and they are too, and they don't. They don't get on this flight. It is full as well. And so eventually it rolls around, so they're going to grab some food, and not to worry that they will be on the last flight if nothing else. But the next flight rolls around, and they don't get on it. It's full. And you guys, I was mad. I was really upset. I was mad. I was crying. I could not believe. Now, here's my hubby. Now, picture, he's in his uniform. He is in the Atlanta airport, just dying to come home. He's been gone, from everything that he knows. He's been over there. And here I am, just whining and crying on the phone. Can't wait to see him. In fact, I was saying, I can't even believe that no one gave up their seat for you. And you guys, my sweet hubby let me know that I was looking at this all wrong. All wrong. He said to me, that is why they do what they do. Right? And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, listen, Tracy, wherever these people are going is just as important as where I'm going. Maybe someone needs that vacation that they well deserved that they haven't had. Maybe someone's going to see a friend that they haven't seen in forever and they need to see that friend. Whatever it is, it's just as important as what I'm doing. And he said, that's the beautiful thing about being a soldier in the United States military, is that you have no idea how great your life is, that it would make you want to give up your seat on that plane. Well, you guys, that has changed my life. Completely changed it. And I feel sorry for my friend that actually called me a few weeks later after that because her grandmother had passed. And she was calling to let me know that she flew home for it. Her grandmother had already passed, but she wanted to get on the plane. The plane was full, and she was saying she asked that they make an announcement because someone needs to give up their seat for her so she can get home. And I was thinking, my husband's conversation that he just told me, I want to think more like that. So, well, we're on a roll. Let's just keep on going. You know, last week I was at Publix. I just had a few things. I think I had like 4 or 5 things. And the self-checkout was pretty packed. So I just went in, the regular line with the cashier. And there was a lady in front of me, and she was super sweet. She was checking out. She had already put most of her things up on the conveyor belt. And she was like, why don't you just go ahead and go in front of me? Because you only have a couple of things or a few things. And I was like, no, it's okay. I said, I'm not in a hurry. And I just thought it was so sweet that she offered. And she's like, are you sure? And I said, yes. And so she went ahead and went to check out her things. And at the very end of her purchase, something wasn't ringing up what she thought was on sale. So she asked the cashier, she said, there's still a sign up. Is it okay if I go ahead and just run over there real quick and take a picture so I can show you, so she could get it for that price? And the cashier was like, yeah, sure. So she goes to run over, and it's not even like that aisle is very far from where we are at the register. I mean, it's literally right there. And she's gone less than a minute. But as she's gone, the lady behind me leans in and she's like, she was upset. She's like, well, I just always get in the bad lines, don't I? Every time. You guys, I just kind of smiled. And I was thinking the whole time, let this be a reminder to me of everything I don't want to be. Another thing that I'm guilty of is I always give my mom a hard time, or I always kid around with her that I'm adopted. I must be adopted. And, she'll laugh and we think it's funny, and she has the pictures. And I'm like, I know you had a baby that day, but I'm just telling you I was switched at birth or something happened. You came home with the wrong baby. And, because I don't know, are you guys like this? Like, I don't know. And the reason why I say that is because my mother and I, like, I'm very much into makeup and, just stuff, and she could care less about, and then there's like the whole, do you guys have like the whole family dynamics, everybody's your sisters, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, but I have to be adopted. And I remember one day, and of all places, the water park. The water park is where I feel like my soul checked off learning a lesson. But anyway, we were in this wave pool, and I'm searching for my mother in the crowd, and I spot her. I see her. And she's, the waves are coming up, so you're like trying to get through the waves. And I look, and there's an inner tube. Okay, so I see that she's going towards the inner tube. So she's just working as hard as she can to get there. And just as she finally gets there, you guys, this woman reaches over like this and puts her hand on the inner tube. And do you know what my mom does? My mom does this. She's just a grinning, smiling away, and lets the lady have the inner tube. And I remember actually tearing up in the wave pool at the water park. I was like, my soul just learned a lesson to be gracious, and how lucky I am. How lucky, extremely lucky I am to have such a wonderful mother and family. So that's why I want you guys to know the good parts of me and the not so great parts of me, right? Because stuff happens all the time. Like sometimes stuff will happen at work. And let me tell you, it's so easy, isn't it? I realized this not too long ago. It's like, oh, it would take me 2 seconds to tell you about Betty, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. Or Nicole. I could tell you. Take me 2 seconds. But have you ever tried to turn the table on yourself? That's a hard thing to do. It's so easy to point out things about other people, and so hard to do it about yourself. But I'm constantly working on that. I've never been more excited to be a better person, to be, not so me centered. So, anyway, I just figure if you guys are going to continue to be subscribers, or if you are going to subscribe, then you need to know everything. You need to know that I'm Tracy. I'm 51 years old. I didn't figure out what I wanted to be till I was 48 years old. I loved being a stay-at-home mama. Wouldn't change that for anything in the world. But I also love being a lunch lady. That is my calling. I love my dogs. I love my grandma. I love life. I love people. But I also am flawed. I love God. So now I'm going to talk about God a lot on here. So if that bothers you, you might want to unsubscribe or not be here. But it's going to happen because I love me some God. So, and I love you guys.